Good evening and welcome back to the Garena Premier League. I'm Fish and Chris will be joining me today here on the Caster's Desk, and we'll be watching Game 3 between the Saigon Jokers and Azubu Taipei Assassins that will be coming up very shortly.
Right, so with game number 1 and game number 2, they are now tied 1 per piece like we were expecting them to, because for the most part, they have been pretty much neck and neck. It's a push and pull effect between both teams in the various competitive scenes and the competitive tournaments as well. So game number 3, it's going to be a very decisive one, I would say, because it might make or break the momentum into this one.
So far, both games be very decisive, very one-sided for either team. We saw in the first game that Azubu Taipei played more of a controlled game, whereby they slowly took objectives, slowly picked off champions, and picked the correct fights to take and the correct rotations to take to pick off the game against the Saigon Jokers. The second game was a bit different. Azubu Taipei looked like they wanted to do the same thing, where they controlled the game, made it really slow to start off, but suddenly SAJ did what they could not do in the first game, whereby they started forcing objectives. They forced fights against Azubu Taipei, forced really bad positioning errors coming out from Azubu Taipei Assassins. Most notably, Morning had a few really bad positioning errors against Saigon Jokers that game, and after their first few fights, SAJ just kept repeating what they were doing before and kept repeating really good fights and forcing objectives against Azubu Taipei Assassins, and they just did not respond correctly against the hard force that Saigon Jokers were doing against them. And Juni had a phenomenal game on Thresh, and I think we might even see a Thresh ban this game.
Right, I completely agree with you, because Juni has been landing death sentences after death sentences, and I think it's safe to say that that was the death sentence for Taipei Assassins for game number 2, for the most part of it. And the thing about Morning as well, he hasn't been finding the right positions, because primarily he is the one to kind of want to disengage away from Saigon Jokers, because he is the one with the explosive cards, but he was just unable to do so because he has been caught time and time again. So hopefully he manages to keep calm and proceed on after that, and find the momentum that they did in game number 1.
So we're going to see once again the same champions being banned out by both teams. Renekton being banned out by the Saigon Jokers, Kale being banned out by the Azubu Taipei Assassins. So we didn't see too many changes to the picks and bans coming out from either team. Most notably, we saw Saigon Jokers ban out Sivir last game, and we see it Jinx banned out once again by the Azubu Taipei Assassins. And whichever team, if they do go for the Sivir ban once again, I would expect similar 80 carries played by both teams. I would expect Lucian to be picked up by either team if he is not banned, just because he's one of the stronger 80 carries right now. And Vayne, coming in from Azubu Taipei Assassins, BB played fantastically on Vayne, so there's nothing we can criticize him about. It's just that his team did not play as Azubu Taipei Assassins that game. They were very unorganized, so gonna be all the picks are available on the board for both teams.
Right, we might even see Ezreal come into picture here, because I think between both BB and Archie, they are very comfortable with their Ezreal pickup. BB having the TPA Ezreal skin named after him, and Archie as well, especially with the pro player picks in the video, he has named Ezreal to be his favorite champion. So let's see what this will amount for both teams in this pick and ban phase. And as we do see the last bans coming out for both teams, it's going to be Dr. Mundo being taken away by TPA, and Sivir once again being banned out by Saigon Joker. So very respectful ban to BB, and being respectful that the strength that Sivir will bring out in the 3.14 patch.
So we see that the same bans are coming out from these two teams once again. They don't want to change anything. This time though, it's going to allow Azubu Taipei Assassins to pick up that Olaf as their first pick. Last time they were first pick, which was in the first game, they did go for that Jax pick, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do swap that one around. And once again, I won't be surprised if the Saigon Jokers allow the Azubu Taipei Assassins pick up Jax. The difference between the first and second game is the second game, SAJ were able to get their hands on Olaf, which did very well against Jax. This time round though, I really don't think SAJ will go for a Jax pickup though, so Azubu TPA should be able to pick up their Jax pick, and one of these teams, I think SAJ might go for the Lucian pickup once again, as we see something goes wrong.
Right, we are back into the lobby at this point of time. Small, technical issues happening here, and it's not too much of a concern. It's not like the 2 hours, 3 hours pause that we had during the Season 2 World Finals. I mean, that is definitely a moment to be remembered, but at this point in time, we haven't seen too much of an issue for this match in particular.
So QTV's client crashed there, so we're just waiting for the rest of the team to rejoin once they are in. will be able to start up once again. So we will see the same picks once again all the way down to the Olaf pickup, and then we'll see SAJ will be able to pick up their the next two champions actually. So just waiting for everyone to be ready, and if they are ready, we'll be going back into Champion Select. We'll be watching all the picks and ends go through once again. So we saw in the first game, SAJ had a really heavy aggressive team composition to go up against the Azubu Taipei Assassins. However, I just don't feel like they utilized that team composition well enough. I mean, the second game, despite having more versatility to their team comp, having more disengage, more mobility to their team composition, they were able to be more aggressive than they were with their really heavy, hard engaged team composition. So I feel like they might go for that once again. They might go for a bit of versatility in their lineup instead of going for a linear strategy.
That's right, and I think between both teams, the mid laners, they are not going to change up too much because I think Morning is pretty much very comfortable on that Gragas pickup, and Optimus as well, making a lot of plays happen. And it does look like this time around, Saigon Jokers, they are the ones to secure that Jax pick on their end. And not too surprising for me, at least. I think that QTB has been performing relatively well on that Jax pick, and taking that away from Taipei Assassins, that is definitely a cripple on their end.
They take away both Lucian and Thresh here. We'll probably see SAJ, as you said before, go for that Ezreal pickup. I mean, Lucian will be the most contested AD carry with Sivir and Jinx banned out. So I would think that Archie would either go for a Caitlyn or an Ezreal going up against this, but Azubu Taipei taking Thresh away from Junie, I think is a smart choice. Not just because Junie is really good at Thresh, but because when you go up against a team who had a really good game on Thresh, and you give them Thresh once again, it will only snowball even further to an even better game, I feel. And take that one away, it might allow Jay to prove something to Junie that he can play Thresh as well.
But it's almost like both teams, they want to just take away picks from each other, So first up, Taipei Assassins take up Olaf away from Saigon Jokers, who has performed pretty well on that Olaf in the top lane. And now Saigon Jokers taking away the Jax away from Taipei Assassins. So Nick for neck, and if they actually lock in the Vi, that will be once again crippling Dinter this time around in the jungle, because even though he hasn't had a great game last one, but he's still pretty much very comfortable on the Vi pick, I would say.
So I'm not sure if going for the Vi pickup would be the right decision. I thought that SAJ would need a little bit more early game jungle control, and I thought that Elise would be a very strong pick for the lineup here, going up against the Azubu Taipei Assassins, especially with Jax, Orianna, and Ezreal on your team. Elise can do a lot early for these champions. However, if Vi can not go behind in the jungle early on and do fairly decently, just stay even with the jungler on the Azubu Taipei Assassin side, should be able to help out the team into the mid game. Azubu Taipei, if they do go for this Shyvana pickup, that will be going to the top lane. We'll most likely see Dinter play Olaf in the jungle once again.
Right, so the remaining pick for Saigon Jokers at this point in time will be that support pickup. And will we see Junie go for the Annie once again, or will he switch things around and go for that support Karma that we have been seeing quite a fair bit in the recent patch and in the recent competitive scene as well? So the Taipei Assassins, they have their lineups being secured here. So it's going to be that Thresh and the Lucian down the bottom lane. And this looks like Junie might actually go for the Lulu, and I don't exactly disagree with the matchup here, but in terms of poke, they have a lot of potential, but they might have to be very careful around the burst damage that both BB and Jay will be able to deal out with the combination of Thresh and Lucian.
Once again, we see the Azubu Taipei Assassins. They're going for a very highly mobile team composition with Shyvana and Olaf being their frontliners, two champions with really, really good movement speed and chasing ability, but once down power that Saigon Jokers bring to the table. They don't have really, really heavy hard stuns. Besides Jay's Death Sentence and Flay, they don't have any other way to lock down members of the Saigon Jokers unless they get a good Exploding Casket coming up from Morning, who can disposition members of Saigon Jokers, or if Dinter can chain slow someone with those axes. Saigon Jokers, though, have multiple ways to lock down members of the Azubu Taipei Assassins, and with two members of Azubu Taipei who can dive in onto SAJ, picking up Orianna is really good against that, to stop people from diving into your team. But Dinter just doesn't care about crowd control. Dinter will not care at all about the shockwaves that will come out from Orianna from the Saigon Jokers.
Right, and because of the team composition being secured by Saigon Jokers at this point of time, it feels like what Taipei Assassins might want to do is to go for a similar strategy from what they did in game number 1, which is find, the small skirmishes, not go for the 5v5s, because there is a lot of firepower on the side of Saigon Jokers. You can easily have the Assault and Battery, chain that up with the Command Shockwave, and follow that up with the Wild Growth as well to have that double knockup onto the side of Azubu Taipei Assassins. So even though they do have that explosive cast to kind of deter away all these hard engage capabilities, I would say that overall in the long run, Saigon Jokers should be able to come out ahead. So the interesting thing here is that for the game number 1, Taipei Assassins managed to have that split pusher work out for them. But this time around, QTV will have that extremely high mobile brawler that is that Jax on their own end. So I'm curious to see how this will pan out for both teams, especially for Saigon Jokers, because they have a very good mix of AoE, lockdown together with that split pushing potential coming in from QTV playing the Jax.
I have a feeling though that this game will be decided by Dinter and safety once again. If Dinter can pull off what he did in game 1, whereby he completely shut down safety early on, and then his team started to shut down safety towards the mid-game, that will help out the Azubu Taipei Assassins a lot. Other than that, we've seen Optimus in this lane against Morning, the same matchup. It is relatively even. This bot lane matchup will be very interesting though. Archie on his favorite champion with Junie, who's playing Lulu support, which we have not seen from Junie in a while, up against a more traditional bot lane in this 2014 season. And even the 2013 season, we saw a lot of Lucian Thresh bot lane combos, which is really strong compared to this Ezreal-Lulu combination, which we rarely saw in Season 3, and we saw a lot of Season 2. Has not been seen lately at all in the 3.14 patch. So both teams missing out each other. Azubu TPA don't go for the delay invade. This time they're going to go straight to that blue buff. They're sticking around S5 though, but QTV has already gone back to base, so I don't really think that Saigon Jokers can contest this without QTV there.
It was almost like they were playing a game of tag there, and with the ward placed down by Saigon Jokers there, they will be able to kind of spot out the members for Taipei Assassins, and now Dinter takes a Q to the face, and BB now, just poking back and forth for both teams, and there you go, the Death Sentence onto Junie now. Will he go down? He has to flash out of that one, and now safety with the burnout as well onto Archie, and it's a very messy engage in level 1, and safety now has to go back. Dinter being brought down relatively low as well. Now BB is the one that has to run away, so lots of Sunrunners being burned out in that one, but I would say Saigon Jokers might be the one to come out on top of that one.
Flash stun might come out from QTV though, he does get it.
Right, and it does like it's gonna be first blood for Junie. So Saigon Jokers come out ahead with this aggressive play. So even though Junie was the one that was caught out in the death sentence, but there was just not enough crowd control on the side of Taipei Assassins to just deter them away. Like we kind of mentioned it before, that Saigon Jokers, they do have that crowd control superiority.
I say Jay played their team fight at level 1 really well. Besides GTV going back to base, they were able to contain Azubu Taipei Assassins in a small area, and when they engage, SE just had a really strong level 1 to deal with it. They had Ezreal. Ezreal alone provides so much damage for an AD carry at level 1, being able to throw out those mystic shots consistently against the Azubu Taipei Assassins. And we saw the hook onto Junie. Junie instantly flashed straight away, got out of the danger zone. All the damage that went down onto Junie, along with the solo ignite onto Junie, was negated from that flash alone. Allowed him to get into a safe position and put out some good damage. See, Archie has to shift up. There will be fine despite taking some damage to his health, but that was not like Azubu Taipei Assassins. The first game we saw them be very patient. They waited very long to get the delay invade off into the Saigon Jokers jungle. That one, they rushed it, got caught in a bad position, forced a really messy fight, and got set back behind because of it.
Right, I guess a small consolation for them is that the kill went over to Junie in that sense. So the carries for Saigon Jokers were unable to secure the extra goal in the pocket, but nevertheless, that assist goal would put them ahead, especially in this laning phase. So what I expect for Taipei Assassins is to kind of lay low a little bit, make sure that they can spot out the entire squad of Saigon Jokers before going in for any aggressive plays.
Gonna have to see how this game does pan out from here though. In the 2014 season though, early kills don't matter as much as they used to. They used to be able to decide the flow of the game from level 1, but now, especially with the kill going on to Junie, it might not be that significant to the Saigon Jokers. It's still a kill nonetheless. We saw that Orianna was able to head back to base and grab the second Storm's ring. We'll be heading back to the mid lane very shortly, but this time, Morning not having any of it coming out from Optimus, he was able to send him back to base and has double the minion score of Optimus right now.
So let's see if the Doran's Blade will be able to change anything with the double Doran ring as well. If it will play in the favor of Optimus at this point in time. And once again, it's almost like staple for both of them. Morning will be on Gragas and Optimus will be on that Orianna pickup. And now we do see Dinter down in the bottom lane. They want to just shove it down the face of Saigon Jokers. They are going straight up for this 3-man push down into this bottom lane.
Should be an easy push for the Azubu Taipei Assassins here. They do have 3 members. So if they are not able to take down this turret, they should be able to get it down to about another minion wave before they can finally take that one down. We saw that Archie was pushed out of base, and just so happened that Dinter was close by to that bottom lane, so was able to help out with the push with a really nice minion wave that was able to help them out as well. They should be able to take down this tower and get the first tower of the game against the Saigon Jokers.
Right, so they do take it out for themselves. So at this point of time, sitting at a good close to 500 goal lead over Saigon Jokers. But the key thing to that was that because Safety was unable to respond at all, he was unable to give aid to the bottom lane, or he was unable to push out top lane as well. But in the meantime, we do see the engage go down, and it does look like Junie will go down in the process. And Jay now catching Archie with the death sentence. He will go down as well to the Ignite, no doubt about that. Dinter secures that kill. So bringing the kill count once again back to the Taipei Assassins' advantage.
So we saw that once again, SAJ being a bit too complacent, and this looks more like the Azubu Taipei Assassins. They're slowly making the plays that they need to against the Saigon Jokers. We saw the tower push there was not rushed by the Azubu Taipei Assassins. They waited for that patiently. Dinter just so happened to be nearby, were able to push Ezreal out of the lane, and then they were able to take the tower. Just so happened that the Saigon Jokers bot lane decided to stay in lane while Dinter was allowed, so they got a nice 2-kill pickup out of that. They tried to go for the dragon there, but SAJ tried to stop them, so decided not to do so eventually.
Right, so, you know, having all this early game advantage, that would definitely translate into something else as we, you know, move on slowly into the 7-minute mark. And I think the thing about Taipei Assassins is that they just need to keep this up rolling, because they don't want to be in a position where Saigon Jokers can force engage onto them. Then that will be a spot where they can't really deal with it. And with the superior, once again, the superior AoE advantage that Saigon Jokers have, they will definitely be able to bring the punch to them.
QTV here is not doing too bad on Jax at all. He's maintaining an even minion score to the Shyvana lane up in the top. We saw earlier in the first game, Saigon Jokers were playing Shyvana up against the Jax, and the difference was they had a gank, but now they're going to have a gank again against Archie, able to get out of that one. But the first game we saw that Olaf, played by Dinter, was able to gank the Shyvana that was played by QTV in the first game, and twice they were able to pick up a kill onto the Shyvana, which allowed Jax to snowball up in the top lane. This time though, QTV has not had the help from Safety that we saw Archie get from Dinter in the first game, which is being the difference between the matchups so far.
Right, so you kind of call it in that sense. The difference in the early game will be determined by Dinter and Safety itself. So I think Dinter has done his part relatively well, called for good rotations, eventually taking down the bottom turret and the 2 kills as well. And because of that, now Taipei Assassins now sit a relatively more comfortable range for them to go to. And now they are starting work onto Dragon now. This looks like Taipei Assassins should be able to pick it up with ease, with the smite as well, so once again furthering their goal gap. And it does look like Safety, he is not really on the game that he wants to be in. So even though he has hit the level 6 mark, but Taipei Assassins now grabbing some good advantages on the way out now.
So once again, I mean, we saw earlier SAJ wanted to pick up Elise. They looked like they were going to pick up Elise going into this game. I thought it would have been a much better champion for Safety to play in the jungle besides Vi. Vi's early game, it's not weak, but it's not incredibly strong either compared to Dinter and Olaf, who is consistently strong throughout all phases of the game. Elise is exactly the same, very strong in all phases of the game, and I felt like if SJ went for that Elise pickup, they would have been able to maintain an even CS score in the jungle, which we see right now is the same, which is the case. They're both even in terms of minion score, but would also have been able to help the lanes of the Saigon Jokers, which Safety has not been able to do so on Vi just yet.
So now Junie starting work and defending the debuff for Optimus at this point in time. And you know, we know for a fact that Taipei Assassins, they like to deny away the blue buff away from the opposing mid laner. It does look like Morning might want to come in for the snipe here and as he gets a little bit down. It does look like, did he get the? No, he didn't get it, but it looks like Optimus didn't get it either. So the blue buff has disappeared. And I think Safety just smited it just to deny that away from Morning.
See now, Azubu Taipei Assassins, they were able to pick up that very early bot lane tower. So Archie has been split pushing on Ezreal at the bot lane for some time, picking up a lot of minion score from that, but still not significantly ahead of Lucian just yet, but still might be able to eventually catch up to that. Meanwhile, we saw the AD carry and support rotate to the mid lane for the side of the Azubu Taipei Assassins, and now Jax might be caught in a really, really bad position.
We might see QTV getting called out as Archie now jumping in with the burnout as well, and now the counter strike being popped. Dinter will give chase with the goals there, and now QTV will try to juke out the way with the build for the Cutlass, but so much more damage being applied on both Dinter as well as Archie. So, and now Safety will jump in through the road with the Assault and Barrier, and Morning will actually go down to Safety there. So a very good combination of both the Assault and Battery as well as the True Shot Barrage. That was enough damage, and just feel like Morning, once again, he needs to get his positioning in place.
He sure does. We saw last game, Morning's positioning was fairly lackluster. He allowed the Saigon Jokers to catch him off guard and out of position so many times, which allowed the Saigon Jokers to pick up so many objectives as well. If he continues to do this in this game, that may allow the Saigon Jokers to creep back into this game. And once again, SAJ are not making the plays they need to. We saw in the second game, they made so many aggressive plays to force an advantage ahead of the Azubu Taipei Assassins. They've proven that they can do it. This game, once again, just besides that gank onto Morning, they're just allowing the Azubu Taipei Assassins to slowly go for these objectives, go for these small skirmishes that Azubu Taipei Assassins want, and also the pickups onto the champions of the Saigon Jokers. That Saigon Jokers are really not trying to control the game at all, which they need to, because even if they go even, Azubu Taipei Assassins have shown that when they go even, they still slowly creep ahead.
I hope that they have kind of saw what happened in game number 1 and, you know, force this 5v5 engages before anything goes, you know, too far ahead in their favor. And because at this point of time, we do see some item discrepancy for BB finishing up that Bloodthirster already, and Archie, you know, still sitting on that BF Sword as well as that Vampiric Scepter. But I would say if they want to go for the team fight, they should do it now. And then if they are able to pull off a great engage, then definitely the advantage will swing in their way once more.
So Azubu TPA looks like they want to group up to this mid lane. It would be another objective they can take fairly safely, which they have been doing this entire best of 5 so far, just slowly going for those objectives. SAJ really need to respond and stop Azubu Taipei Assassins in their tracks. Stop them from taking these objectives that they want to take and start making things out. Archie here might get locked down. Right,
and Archie with the Dragon's Descent, not enough to actually get away from Safety, and QTV has to burn the flash away in the process, and Jay barely missing that death sentence. And you know, the entire team of Taipei Assassins wanting to make work on this mid lane turret, but between both Archie and Optimus as well as Julie, they still have enough wave clear potential to take away the waves that come along the way.
So Azubu Taipei Assassins are doing a very good job in terms of vision control and map control as well. They have kept the Saigon Jokers behind the first turret this entire game. They have, not entire game, sorry, but for the past 5 minutes, the Saigon Jokers have barely left past the first tower or the river at all, while the Azubu Taipei Assassins are just walking throughout the jungle of SAJ and to any lane and as far down as they please.
Right, and with the deep wards in as well, it does feel like they might be able to catch someone off guard if they find that they are out of position. So Saigon Jokers, they have this defensive wards in place as well. So I just feel like they are kind of playing to the calls of Taipei Assassins, just right as of now.
So we're gonna wait and see what either of these teams decide to do. Dragon will be up in about 30 seconds. I will not be surprised if the Azubu Taipei Assassins try to pick that one up. Olaf will cross paths with some of the Saigon Jokers here, but nothing happens between them. So I have a feeling that Azubu Taipei Assassins might make a final push for this mid lane tower and then transition to the Dragon pickup, because Shyvana has been split pushing this bot lane, getting it shoved up towards the second turret of the Saigon Jokers, and Dragon will respawn now and it looks like they will go instantly for it.
This look like the Taipei Assassins will be able to pick that up for themselves once again with no contest from Saigon Jokers, or more like they were not really in the position to kind of counter it for that. And now we do see Archie jumping into the fray, and the 3-man shockwave onto Optimus is not going to be enough though, and Safety tries to jump into the fray with the Vault Breaker as well. Now Archie taking a whole lot of damage from Archie once again, but it does look like Archie has to run away from his life, as we do see QTV giving chase onto Archie, but not enough damages of yet. Optimus now getting chased down by Morning there, so everyone on Azubu Taipei Assassins relatively low, but it was overall a 1-for-3 exchange, as Dinter now gives chase onto Archie here with the final undertow. That will be it for him, so it's a 1-for-4 exchange as of total.
So getting into a replay of that fight, we're going to see here Archie gets a nice jump onto Junie and Archie here, as you see Wild Grip has popped onto Junie. The nice shockwave comes up from Optimus, but the True Shot Barrage will miss here, and that's a chunk of damage that the Saigon Jokers really needed. Safety will try to jump in, but will get stopped by the Destin as it comes off of Jay. He uses ult onto Jay as well, which is a surprising target. Archie is not able to finish off Archie as well, as Safety will get taken down. QTV came from the back to pick off BB, but is not able to take down Archie here, and Archie also not able to take down Archie in this situation. So they were not able to focus their damage correctly onto the Azubu Taipei Assassin. The fact that they allowed the Azubu Taipei Assassin to initiate onto the Saigon Jokers without any form of hard initiation allowed them to get ahead in the fight, because they have so much sustained damage from Shyvana, Olaf, Gragas, and Lucian.
So we're starting to see that this item advantage will swing in the way of Taipei Assassins at this point of time, because they have a good 6,000 goal lead, just 16 minutes in against the Saigon Jokers. And it does feel like it's reminiscence of game number 1, slowly taking away objectives from Saigon Jokers and then converting that into items advantage, and then going in for skirmishes that they find that are in their advantage. So even though it was a rather risky call, and speaking about risky calls, just feel like Jay want to go in for this one. Safety has to go out of the way with the Vault Breaker, and now Dinter pops the Ragnarok as well, but just feel like Taipei Assassins will not give chase, and they will be happy with that exchange. And meanwhile, Archie once again being that split pushing madness that Saigon Jokers are not really able to respond to. And now QTV, even though he is that excellent brawler and having that Blade of the Ruin King completed already, but Archie still has his Some Fires cape, and he himself has the Brute Watercolors. And now Jay actually getting baited in with the Assault Battery as well. There we go, Morning jumping into the fray with the explosive cast as well. Dinter will follow suit onto Safety there. It does feel like he might go down in the process, and with 3 members chasing him, that is definitely the end of him there. And Morning picks up the kill onto that one.
Safety once again, I'm not sure why he keeps using his ultimate onto the support. The Azubu Taipei Assassin, he doesn't have the damage he needs to shut down a target by himself. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between Dinter and Archie, between QTV and Safety. I mean, we saw in the first game, at this point of the game, Archie on Jax was able to bully QTV on Shyvana. The roles are reversed now, and still Archie is bullying QTV on Jax. And Dinter's played a huge role in that. He was able to help Archie out early on when he was playing Jax, and also when he's playing Shyvana. Safety really has not been able to help his team out.
And now, there we go now with Optimus taking the death sentence, and BB will be able to pick that up for himself. And Junie securing the kill onto Jay there. BB having the calling to try to deter away some of the members of Saigon Jokers, and now Safety giving chase onto Dinter there, and Dinter turning it around for himself, and Archie jumping into the fray with the Dragon's Descent as well. And now QTV joins the fight, and QTV will give chase onto Dinter with the Ragnarok being popped as well. Does it look like Dinter will go down in the process? The Leap Strike will do the trick. But in the meanwhile, Morning was split pushing on his own up in the top lane. So once again, another objective being taken away by Taipei Assassins with all this commotion down in the skirmishes in the jungle.
So SCJ got the fight they want there. They were able to pick up Dinter in that fight and get a few of the members of the Azubu Taipei Assassins down low. They picked the fight in a situation where they had more members than the Azubu Taipei Assassins. That was the right thing to do, especially when the Saigon Jokers are behind the Azubu Taipei Assassins, and they are behind by about 8,000 gold as well, which is a significant advantage for the Azubu Taipei Assassins. And we saw in the first game, when TPA get such a good advantage ahead of the Saigon Jokers, they continue to work on that advantage slowly but surely.
Right, and we do have the Dragon coming back up in about close to a minute's time, and it does feel like Taipei Assassins might be taking that away once again from Saigon Jokers. So with, you know, a good 7,000 goal lead over Saigon Jokers, they are in the driving seat to take away game number 3 as of this one. But for Saigon Jokers, what they still have is that growing potential that QTV is carrying on his back with that Jax pickup. If they find one good engage in, then probably he might start to change things around for Saigon Jokers.
QTV just really doesn't have the items he needs, so we can see that Shyvana has already built up that Sunfire cape, and also you see the Blade of the Ruin King picked up by Shyvana. Jax only has that Blade of the Ruin King available right now. Has not even managed to finish his phage just yet. And once again, Azubu Taipei Assassins is doing what they've always been doing. They put Archie down in one of the side lanes and split push, while the rest of them slowly group up together. They don't do it at the same time, but they will walk around the map and then slowly group up for an objective and disperse once again. Walk around the map, group up for an objective, disperse once again, which they've been doing this entire game and game 1 as well. They'll probably go for Dragon here as a respawn and also take away this blue buff.
Right, so denying that away from Optimus once again. I feel like in all 3 games so far, Optimus hasn't got hold of the blue buff for most of parts of it. And I think it is a determining factor as well, because Morning sitting very comfortably with the blue buff will be able to outlane Optimus for the most part, as we see in the CS difference.
So earlier when we talked about the gold score, Saigon Jokers were behind by 8,000 gold. Now it's 9,000 gold. TPA is still slowly creeping up in terms of their gold advantage. They're slowly expanding that lead. And we saw in game 1 as well, they will wait for that critical point where SAJ really cannot handle a 5-man team fight. Force an objective like Baron, which SAJ will really have to try and respond to, and then punish them for the gold lead that they allowed Azubu Taipei Assassins to achieve early on and decimate them in that fight.
Right now, and Archie taking some turret aggro and QTV balling it out with him as well. And it does feel like, you know, Taipei Assassins, they are not done just of yet. They are not contented with just taking away the blue buff. They want to take away the red buff as well. So just taking away everything from Saigon Jokers at this point in time. And Saigon Jokers, I think they are quite at a position where they are not too sure what to do and how to respond to this aggression that Taipei Assassins has put in place for them.
So still, once again, Azubu Taipei Assassins not trying to force anything at all. But then again, Saigon Jokers are not trying to either. And as I said in game 1, the window has really closed for the Saigon Jokers to try and force a team fight and try to win the fight based off their picks alone. They really need to start clawing back in terms of this gold disadvantage that they are currently in. They need to start picking off individual members of the Azubu Taipei Assassins, or try and sneakily grab a tower from the Azubu Taipei Assassins, because they have not managed to even take down a single auto turret from the Azubu Taipei Assassins just yet.
Right, I would say that is credits to Taipei Assassins, because for the most part, they always ensure that their lanes are pretty much shot out before they go for any attempts to take away the objective, like we mentioned and talked about earlier. Archie was always by himself at the bottom lane to make sure that the lane is shot out. And there we go now. Junie will actually meet up with Archie will meet up with Junie with the Dragon's Descent, and Archie will be the solo member to deter away every single one of Saigon Jokers. And I think it feels like Taipei Assassins might not think that this is the safest choice to go for, so they back away from the Baron Pit. But meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, Morning is once again being that split pusher by himself, and once again just shoving out this bottom lane. And Archie moving up to the top lane as well, so everyone is just doing their split pushing efforts. And once again, the combination of the Solar Berry and True Shot Barrage will apparently be enough to take out Jay away from the equation. And will this be the turning point that Saigon Jokers might be looking to take advantage of? But the only member that went out in the process was Jay, so it might not be anything too much. And the explosive cast jumping onto Taipei Assassins at this point of time, and it does feel like Morning will go down in the process, and QTV picks up that kill. And this might be the fight that they are looking for now. Safety soaking up a whole ton of damage on the side of Taipei Assassins. Now Archie has to back away, but the red buff will be enough, and BB is here to clean house the janitor duties for him, and it will be a double kill for both BB and Archie respectively, and as it is an ace for Taipei Assassins.
Once again, Azubu Taipei Assassins, they tried to force Baron, they were not able to do so, but still got a team fight out of it. Despite losing Jay early on because of safety jumping in onto him with a True Shot Barrage coming in from Archie, they were able to turn that team fight around and pick that one up. because of that, once again, they're going to be able to try and take this Baron buff, and with the respawn timers, with SAJ just respawning, they should be able to take it down with ease.
Right, so I like what BB did there. He just, without any hesitation at all, used the calling, and we did see the True Shot Barrage kind of make its appearance down in the bottom, into the Baron pit as well, but it's not going to be enough damage to try to snipe that away, but at the very least, Saigon Jokers know that the Baron is a gone cost for them.
I really like Azubu Taipei Assassin's playstyle coming into this game against the Saigon Jokers because they're so patient with the plays that they're making. They're very patient to slowly pick up objectives, very patient to pick the team fights they want to fight, and patient to force team fights as well. They're being very patient to say, SAJ, you can fight us now if you want, but you're not going to win. And when SAJ try to fight, they always try to back off, which SAJ have not been doing a lot of this game. They have not been trying to contest the Azubu Taipei Assassins. It looks like a very one-sided match compared to the previous game.
That's right, and it's like what we mentioned earlier, it's always been one-sided games for either team, and with Taipei Assassins now building a good 12,000 goal advantage over Saigon Jokers, it feels like they are just waiting for the right chance to close out this game.
Gonna have to see what the Azubu Taipei Assassins do next, and I say that because they do have Baron buff right now. Normally the team with Baron will be the team that decides to try and make the play. We see a lot of members of Saigon Jokers try to catch Archie up in this top lane on Shyvana. Not able to do so as the Dragon will just run away. I feel like we'll see a push for mid lane after Lucian clears out the minions in the bot lane. Or we could still potentially see one of the side lanes being pushed up. I mean, all the outer turrets are down for the Saigon Jokers, so only the inhibitor turrets are left. And with Baron buff up for the Azubu Taipei Assassins, it's the perfect time to try and take down one of these inhibitor turrets.
I love the position for Taipei Assassins in this one. It's effectively a 1-3-1 formation for them. We have Archie up in the top lane, and both Morning and BB just shoving it up effectively in the mid and the bottom lane, and with both Jay and Morning just rotating around to see which lane needs the most assistance. And now we do see QTV jumping to the fray, but taking a whole lot of damage into his face, and the Carling pops as well, and with the explosive cast just pushing everybody away from their own turret, and does feel like Taipei Assassins should be able to take out this bottom turret for themselves, and that's going to be the first inhibitor turret going down. Will they push on for the inhibitor? It does not look like that's the case, but Archie now putting on some pressure at the side as well, with the top lane turret now taking some damage on its own. It might feel like Archie just wants to jump into the fray from the back to push everyone back in with the Dragon's Descent.
You could possibly see a team fight come out here. We see Death Sentence lands.
Oh, there we go with the Death Sentence landing us to safety. He will be brought right back into the fray, and Dinter now having so much health on his own end, and Archie will dive into the back lines with the Dragon's Descent to take out Optimus on his own end. So overall, it is a 3-4-0 exchange as Azubu Taipei Assassins now looking strong, taking out the Nexus turrets slowly and steadily, and as we say that, Death Sentence landing onto QTV there. That's going to be game number 3, I feel, for Taipei Assassins as they make work on the last Nexus turret, and everyone just dashing into the base, and that's going to be the base for them, and they want more kills for a bloodthirsty squad for them. Game number 3 going into the advantage of Taipei Assassins. GG, well played, and that is going to be 2-1 in advantage for them.
So Azubu Taipei Assassins will take game 3 here in the Garena Premier League Semifinals. Winner of this best of 5 will be going into the grand finals. So Azubu Taipei Assassins can pick up this next game. They will be going into the grand finals of the Garena Premier League. And that game, it's so similar to the first game. SCJ looked strong at the start. They made a nice play at level 1. And Azubu Taipei Assassins looked like they're going to make the same mistakes they did in game 2, whereby they let Saigon Jokers decide the flow of the game. But this game, once again, they continue with what they've been doing all 3 games so far, slowly trying to go for the objectives that they want to take and not forcing anything. They always wait for that late 30-minute Baron fight or Baron pickup to start forcing objectives against the Saigon Jokers. And by this time, they're usually about 8,000 to 9,000 gold ahead of the Saigon Jokers. And what the Saigon Jokers did right in the second game was, once Azubu Taipei Assassins got ahead by about 2,000 to 3,000 gold, they forced objectives and team fights to stop this flow that Azubu Taipei Assassins have been setting in all 3 games. And that game, SHA just really did not retaliate to the Azubu Taipei Assassins at all.
I'm starting to see a trend with 3 games now being locked in for both teams. It feels like the team with the Olaf pick will win the game. Because that has been the case, because you know, Azubu Taipei Assassins, they had the Olaf pick for themselves in game 1 and game number 3, whereas for Saigon Jukers, they had it in game number 2 where they found success in that. So it might be the next area of concern for them when it comes to the pick and ban phase. And like we mentioned, Olaf has been the strong contested pick for both teams, especially in this patch. And I wonder if it will eventually be banned out just because of the concern for Taipei Assassins.
So that will be game 3 of the night. We'll be coming out with game 4 and potentially the final game here tonight.